Well, welcome back for another exciting edition of the REI Rockstar Podcast, your source for any and all advice, tips, and information on building wealth through real estate investments right here in St. Louis. I'm your host, Nick Bauer, your real estate investing coach. Guys, get ready to learn how to build massive wealth through buying and selling real estate for profits and make that serious lifestyle change. Remember, it's not about the money, it's about the freedom. We passionately believe that the money that we can make in this business buys us the freedom to do the things that we want to do in life, when we want to do them, how we want to do them, where we want to do them, as often as we want to do them. That's what keeps us going. It's not necessarily all about the money. It's about what we get to do with that money and the time that we get to spend with our families, the time that we get to spend doing hobbies, the time that we get to spend doing stuff outside of the business world is really what keeps me going. And I know that's what we're passionate about and what we preach to people. And I know that that's what many folks that have come through our organization aspire for, that freedom more so than the money. So something we're passionate about. Remember, it's not about the money, it's about the freedom. Just a quick note that today's program is powered by the Southside Investment Club, where we talk about all things real estate and real estate investing. Also brought to you in part by Graphic Connections, the Sewell Law Firm, Longhorn Financial, and Insight Title. Four awesome people that have gone above and beyond to not only support the club, but also support stuff like this, that make things like this possible for us to get together and talk about real estate. And we really appreciate their support whenever possible. For a full vendor list of all the vendors for the Southside Investment Club, you can go to SSIC online. And for these guys, direct mail, Graphic Connections. Need a great attorney? Sewell Law Firm. Longhorn Financial does great hard money at a very professional way. And Rebecca at Insight Title is probably still, I've said this before and I'll say it again, the most underutilized asset that the Southside Investment Club has. They're an awesome title company that will bend over backwards to earn your business and bend over even further to keep it. So without any further ado, we're here to talk with my friend Lisa Cox. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
So, on our podcast, we do, for the REI Rockstar channel, we do vlog series, we do podcasts, and podcast is more of kind of like an interview style. Maybe one of our vendors or maybe one of our members or someone that's doing a really cool business or just did a really cool deal and wanted to talk about it. Just, those types of things. And, we talk a lot about, different aspects of this business. One of my favorite things to do for the REI Rockstar podcast is to actually talk with one of our members who is doing really some pretty incredible things, because I know that that might spark someone else like listening in. It might spark someone else to say, hey, I relate to that person. It's not just a picture on a screen and, hey, this person did this, made this money or whatever. Like going through the story and talking with the person of what they had to go through to get themselves in the right mindset to actually get started in this business, and then doing their first couple deals if you were nervous, if you were scared, and then kind of fast forward to where you're at now, how you got there. That really can help inspire someone else that maybe wants to buy their first rental property or to buy their first flip. And I know that when you were getting started, you were in that information gathering phase as well, where you're out there trying to get as much information and things like that. So I want to talk to you about, let's rewind like a year ago, okay? And kind of go back a year and introduce yourself as what you were a year ago and what was going through your mind, why you wanted to get in this business, what attracted it to you, and what was kind of stopping you from making that first move.
Okay. I got into the business because, as with everybody, you have life challenges and sometimes you have to start over. And at my age, the only way that I could legally make enough money to retire comfortably, I figured would be real estate. So a friend that I work with, she invited me to a seminar, and I went to the seminar, and she ended up dropping out, but I ended up doing some more investigation. So I said, I'm going to do it. I made up my mind. I like it. And I just decided to start. I joined Southside Investment Club. I would go to all the meetings and listen and take everything so I could apply it. And November of last year, I bought my first property, and it was a flip. So it was an older building. It was built in 1982, and nothing had been updated since then. So of course, you always run into something new. But I'm like, okay, let me just overcome this challenge. I was very creative. I watched my budget. I figured out ways to reuse things, or if things were older, to make them look new, and you know update things that look nice, but not spend a lot of money. So that was a successful flip for me. I actually had it sold before I was finished with it. Some people wanted to buy it from me before I even started flipping it, because a real estate agent approached me, and I said, well, no, I said, this is my first one. I have to do this so I can prove that I can do it. And she said, I said, the people that want to buy it, they can come back and they can see it when I'm done. And if they want to buy it from me, then they can. So those people actually did end up buying it from me. She said they were very particular, and they did not particularly like what rehabbers had done before. So that's why they didn't trust a rehabber. I said, well, you haven't seen me, because I'm good and I have a lot of attention to detail. And they came back and they absolutely loved it, and they bought it.
That's awesome.
So that was my first. So that was my first property.
And you made $300,000 on that deal, right?
Oh, a million. I think I made maybe about 20.
Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome. And that got you going. And so that gained you the confidence. Like, okay, so going into that a year, if you were to rewind a year, you went to one of our events, actually. You went to a 3-day event.
Yes.
And you actually, I think you got a, you used Craig's rehab REI RockStar rehab toolkit to complete that first rehab, right?
Well, actually, he didn't have the toolkit out yet, but I took copious notes and listened to everything that he said, and I remembered. So I followed his pattern of what he taught us at the 3 days.
Right. So using those techniques, you went out and were able to stay organized, stay on time and on budget as best as you possibly could, and
Yes.
was able to get that. That's right, because the REI Rockstar Toolkit didn't come out until February, and you did that in November. So um,
Yeah.
that's all. We were feverishly putting all that together to make sure that we had a um, good system for people that wanted to plug into it and be able to do that. So that's awesome. So congratulations.
Yeah.
So then you do your first deal. Were you nervous to make that offer? Or were you superwoman? You're like, I can do anything, or were you just like, gosh, I hope I'm doing the right thing?
Well, I was a little nervous, but it was a foreclosure. So I put my offer in, and I actually won the offer, because with foreclosures they just take the best offer. And then after they accepted my offer, I went back and got an inspection on it, and I saw some things that needed to be fixed. So I made a counter offer for less, and then the company met. We met in the middle, which I was fine with. So I was able to pay a little bit less than I thought I was going to pay originally,
Hmm.
which was better. And but I had planned, because I remember that Craig said, when you're going to do it, have everything ready to go on that day. So I knew when I was going to close. I had my contractors lined up and everything. So I closed on November 15th, and my contractors start working on November 16th. And it
Awesome.
took 2 months to get it done.
That is awesome. We tell people that all the time, because from the time that you go under contract to a property to the time you close, might be 3-4 weeks, depending upon the deal, right? And that is free
Yeah.
time. You're off the clock. You can get your scopes of work together. You can send them out for bids. You can dot any I's, cross any T's, figure out exactly what your game plan is, put your schedule together, pull any permits that you might need to be getting, so that if you close on the first, you can get started on the second, have your guys over there pounding away on the demo. So that's awesome. And when I first met you, it didn't strike me as a typical newbie. You strike me as someone who, like, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I'm here to learn how to do it the right way, so that I don't make as many mistakes if I was just going out this on alone. right? And you, the typical newbie is I'm scared to make my first offer because it might get accepted, right? And that's totally cool because I was there. Pretty much anyone who's ever bought their first piece of investment property has been there at some point, right? But you had a little bit different attitude, like I'm doing this and I'm here to learn some of the things that I need to watch out for. I need to learn some of the things that I should be doing, shouldn't be doing. And you, like you said, you took copious notes and applied that stuff, and that's really really cool. Because when we put stuff, we put a bus tour together or a success summit together or a case study together or whatever we do, a podcast or whatever, we can put a significant amount of time into doing that, and it makes us feel good that there's people like you that take that information and then go out and actually apply it rather than just keep it in their brain and never do anything with it. So that's awesome. Congratulations. So you did your first rehab and you're all excited. You're like, oh my gosh, I get to cash this check and I'm going to go to the boat and put it all in black. Is that what you did?
No, I said I took some money and I paid off some bills, and then I kept the rest of it in my real estate business because my plan is to maybe like for the first 5 years, I won't be really taking any money out because I want to build a bigger business. So my next step was rentals because I want some passive income because doing flips is a lot of work.
Can be, yeah,
And
absolutely.
yep. And well, I have a full time job too, so I don't do real estate full time. So I need to be able, to have a balance of that. So I bought my first rentals in April. I closed in April.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 3 doors. Yep, I bought a two family and a single family. And
Mm-hmm.
then, well, also in that same month, I bought another single family that I had gotten from a mailing I did with Graphic Connections,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a good deal. I was able to do it owner financing, so I didn't have to come up with any money out of pocket. The house needed some repairs and everything, which I knew when I bought it. So all my funds could go towards fixing it up and getting it rented out. So I got that done. So then I had 4 doors going, and last on the 26th, I took a big plunge and I bought an 8 unit apartment building.
That's a cool
That was
story too.
scary.
That, yeah,
That was
if you had some
scary.
jitteries, that's probably where they were coming in, right? Because now you
Yep,
are a
that was
landlord,
scary.
you own property, and you got some responsibilities, sister. Walk me through that. How'd you find that deal? And walk me through the thought process of what you were thinking about when you were evaluating that property and thinking, can I actually do this?
Okay. Well, I have a guy that I use for financing, and I found some wholesale deals, and I would run the numbers and run it past him, and he would be like, oh, I don't know about this or whatever, because so I'm like, okay, but that didn't deter me. I'm like, I'll just keep on going. It's a numbers game. So I talked to him about it, and sometimes he buys properties for his customers because he's in the job to make money. And I said, okay, well, if you find anything, let me know. He's like, well, you're not a customer yet. I said, okay, but I had done all the paperwork to fill out the application, which was like writing a book. So he called me one Saturday and he said, I was thinking about it. You did all the due diligence to fill out all the paperwork and give me everything I needed. He said, I've got a property and do you want to take a look at it? It was in Belleville. So I said, okay, I'll go and take a look at it. I went and took a look at it, and it was fully rented. I mean, it needs some TLC, but but other than that, it's a nice solid building. Everybody that's come to look and do work on it, they're like, this is a nice solid building. Just needs some TLC. So I went ahead and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna buy it. Made the deal, closed on it, and now I'm a landlord.
Yeah, you're big time now. You're big time. But what's
I'm
cool about
trying.
that is you were able to, you know all the numbers, and when you were telling me the numbers, we didn't even have to put it in the spreadsheet. We knew it was a good deal. but you actually
Yep.
calculated all your numbers because you had all that data and you used the spreadsheet and put that all in there. What's the cap rate that you ended up getting that building for?
17%.
That's amazing. And you were able to capture that deal with little money out of your, like no money out of your pocket, right?
Correct.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And a 17% cap rate for someone that might not know what that is, that's a really, really strong cap rate. That's a fantastic deal, no matter how you shake it. And um, since you had no money in the deal, the owner financing terms were a little bit more than a traditional bank. But when that term expires, you're gonna have when you refinance that out, you're gonna have some significant cash flow. You're gonna have cash flow now, but you're gonna have significant cash flow once you get past that period. And a building that's operating at a 17 cap is just amazing. And let me check this out. A year ago, rewind. If I were to sit down with you for a cup of coffee and say, hey, in 1 year from now, you're going to own 12 doors and you're going to have completed a rehab project for a $20,000 project, would you have believed me?
It would have been kind of hard to believe. I had a goal, page, but I
Yep.
would look at it and I'd be like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to achieve this, but this is my goal. And I did it. It's like, you can't get discouraged. You just have to, you have to keep on going because I want to retire and I want to be able to travel and do things and be comfortable. So this is the only way that I can do that.
I like how you said it's the only legal way that you can think of in order
Yes.
to do that. Um, that's funny. I used to say that a couple years ago, and I just kind of stopped saying that. I forgot that that was something that I would say. So I'm not saying that I said that first at all. I'm not like, oh, you got that from me. I'm saying that like that it's a funny way to look at it, but it's almost the truth, right? Like what other way for you to, because you built up pretty decent equity capture on the other single family and two families, and I know you built up some really good equity capture on this building. Um, and you built up cash flow, and I mean you've done, for having a full-time job, you have really done some amazing stuff in that first year. What do you think next year is going to be like? Have you thought about next year, or are you just still trying to get by day to day? Because I know you just closed on that building.
Yeah. But right now, I'm having foot surgery, so I'm going to be out of pocket for a little while. So I'm trying to get everything tied up with the building that I just bought because the previous owner didn't really take care of it like they should have. So
Yeah.
it's just basic things that need to be done. So I'm trying to get all that wrapped up, and then next year I plan on hitting the ground running, looking for some more deals so I can add to my portfolio. And if I happen to find a flip that meets my criteria, is close enough to my home that I can monitor it after work because I've got some good contractors that I can trust, then I'll do a flip also.
Sweet. Have you thought about 5 years out? I mean, I know the answer to this, but let's really go through it here for a second because when you most people dramatically overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, and they dramatically underestimate what they can accomplish in five. Right now, getting 12 doors and one
Yeah.
rehab in 1 year is a stellar year for sure. Maybe you only get 6 doors next year, and you'd still call that a success. Maybe you do two rehabs and 4 doors, whatever it is. But if you can continue on this momentum that you've built up and the success that you've already created for yourself, in 5 years from now, how much vastly different do you see your finances being versus what they were a year ago when you got started?
Um, well, hopefully in 5 years, I would like to have all my debt paid off, and I'd like to be able to not have to punch the clock and work in corporate America and work for myself. So I'll work for my own business.
Well, you've taken a tremendous step in that direction in your first 12 months, and you should be very, very, very proud of yourself, Lisa. Seriously,
Thank you.
you should be.
Thank you.
And you're not a showy person. You're not like a flashy, like, look at me, I'm so amazing. Um, you just put your nose down to the grindstone, you get it done, and it's okay. It's not all raindrops and lollipops either. Have you had a couple days where you're like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right stuff? Like,
Yeah, I've had some days where I'm like, oh, this has popped up, this has popped up. That I'm like,
yeah.
when is it gonna stop? But it's like, okay, this is only temporary. Just do it because I look at the end of the road and what's going to be down at the end of the road. So, sometimes when you have trials and tribulations, you learn a lot. I have learned so much with every deal that I've done and everything I've accomplished. I've learned so much and put more in my toolbox so that
Hmm.
when the next time it comes, I'm prepared for it. So, you know, adversity is actually good because it teaches you a lot.
I like it. Absolutely. It does, right? I mean, some of the stuff that you've learned, you can't learn without going through that information, going through that situation, right? I mean, we can talk. That's one of the cool things about, like, when we get together and we do our webinars or we do something like that for inner circle or for whatever, is if we have like an open group discussion, someone might be going through something that we would never think to talk about that situation, but they're saying, hey, how do we handle this? And we fix it all as a group. And now we all know how, hey, hopefully we never go through that. But if we do, we know how to beat that a little bit quicker than